We've all been there, right? Going through life just desperately wanting to find that one absolutely flawless, perfect match. But what actually happens in reality? We get our hopes up, we get hurt, we get completely exhausted, and sometimes we just want to give up on dating entirely. Well, in today's explainer, we are unpacking a totally fascinating and highly original framework from our source material for finding genuine happiness and growth in romantic relationships. It's called the 3-7 Law of Human Relationships, and we're going to break down exactly how this simple concept can literally change your life. So let's start with a really big question. Why is it that the more we look for a perfect person, the more our relationships seem to just fall apart? Think about it for a second. Modern dating is absolutely exhausting. We're endlessly swiping, desperately searching for this mythical, flawless soulmate who doesn't have a single defect. You know the drill. They have to tick every single box, perfectly match our personality, and look exactly like our ideal type. But our source material warns us that this relentless pursuit of perfection, it's actually an express train straight to failure. The reason why is all about the illusion of perfection. The source material delivers a super powerful warning here. A perfect relationship is literally never something you just find right out of the box. Doesn't exist. What usually happens is we try to mold someone to fit our exact taste 100%, or we sit around waiting for someone who will cater to us 100%. But that rigid attitude completely destroys the flexibility of a relationship. It makes it crumble at the very first sign of conflict. Basically, the illusion of perfection creates this unforgiving, suffocating dynamic where there's zero room to breathe. And the source puts this incredibly bluntly. It says if you are completely blinded by love and actually find someone who you think is a 100% match from day one, that relationship is inevitably going to have a 100% failure rate. Crazy, right? We've been conditioned our whole lives to think that meeting a 100% perfect partner is the ultimate goal. But according to this principle, if a relationship starts off completely full at 100%, there is absolutely no space left for the two of you to work on. A relationship with no room for effort or growth, it just stagnates and eventually decays. Okay, so if expecting 100% is a guaranteed recipe for failure, what exactly is the answer? Well, this brings us to the core philosophy of our source, the 3-7 Law. And honestly, this isn't just about dating. It's this profound principle that explains how we navigate life itself. Once you truly grasp this law, the entire way you evaluate and build connections with people is going to completely transform. Think of it like this. When we are born into this world, we don't arrive as a finished product. Not at all. We're born with only a 30% foundation. You can think of that 30% as our destiny, or maybe just the rough sketch of our lives. So what makes up the remaining 70%? That is the effort we have to pour in as we live. Life is literally the process of taking that 30% underlying sketch and using 70% of our own effort and actions to paint a beautiful masterpiece. If you just rely purely on destiny, you're living without effort, and the source notes that is definitely not a successful life. And that leads us to what is probably the most crucial takeaway. A healthy relationship doesn't mean finding a 100% perfect person. It actually means finding an ideal companion who matches you well at about 70%. If they like you at 70% and you are satisfied with them at 70%, that is actually the absolute best connection you can make. The real secret here is to fully accept and actually embrace that they will inevitably be lacking by 30%. That empty 30% gap, it's not a flaw. It's a beautiful, collaborative space meant for the two of you to hold hands and fill together over a lifetime. So how do couples actually use this philosophy to improve their relationships and thrive in the real world? Well, if you've chosen someone knowing full well they have a 30% gap, the journey ahead is all about how you navigate that empty space together. It's not about sharply chipping away at each other's rough edges and causing pain. It's actually this highly productive, warm process of understanding your differences and gently bridging those gaps. We're looking at a stark contrast between two very different attitudes here. If you're passively expecting a 100% finished product, you're going to be deeply disappointed by every tiny mistake or shortcoming, and you'll probably end up throwing the relationship away entirely. But on the flip side, you can actively choose to match hands and feet with your partner to bridge that remaining 30%. The material emphasizes that when you meet someone who is a 70% match, you already have more than enough common ground to successfully work together. Love isn't about shopping for a finished product. It's the teamwork of assembling an unfinished one together. Let's look at a concrete example of how this plays out. First off, successful couples recognize that 30% gap as a unique opportunity, not a defect. For instance, imagine one partner has a 30% blind spot where they're incredibly impatient and tend to rush decisions. Instead of fighting over this, the other partner's calm and careful nature steps in to provide a solid foundation for that specific gap. And conversely, when the calm partner hesitates to take action, the impatient but driven partner can confidently take the lead. Instead of demanding perfection, they gently fill in each other's missing 30%, which creates a beautifully resilient and unbreakable bond. But we really need to talk about a massive, dangerous trap waiting for those who misunderstand this dynamic. We have to pay very close attention to what happens when this law is applied backwards. The source actually calls this trap arrogance and shackles. So earlier we established that you should find a partner who matches you at 70%, leaving a 30% gap to work on. But what if you reverse that entirely? What if you meet someone who is completely lost? They only match you at 30% or less, and you delusionally believe that you can just magically provide the other 70% to fix them. Maybe they're clinging to you, but in your eyes, they are only at a 30% level. If you're thinking, oh, I'll just carry them and fix them along the way, you are stepping into a huge trap. The source delivers a really harsh but totally necessary reality check here. It explicitly warns, if you think you can pull them along and fix them, you are putting shackles on yourself. It's pure arrogance. In that moment, what should be a partnership instantly degrades into a miserable burden. Think about it. Dragging along someone who is only a 30% match is literally like chaining your legs to a prisoner and trying to drag them behind you. Eventually, you are both going to collapse from exhaustion. Trying to force someone to change to fit your exact tastes is just a shortcut to misery. So, if we want to avoid that arrogance, what mindset should we actually adopt? The material consistently emphasizes the profound wisdom of realistic acceptance and genuine respect. Simply put, acknowledge the other person exactly as they are. It sounds incredibly simple, I know, but it is notoriously difficult in practice. However, if you keep that 70% principle firmly in your heart, maintaining the relationship and achieving this level of respect becomes much, much easier. So how do we actually put this into practice? Step 1. Acknowledge with total gratitude that your partner is a wonderful person who already matches you at 70%. Step 2. Respect their true self without trying to suppress them or force them to magically become that 100% ideal. And step 3, instead of criticizing their 30% gaps or pointing out their deficiencies, lovingly fill those spaces with your own effort and care. When you do this, your relationship entirely bypasses the trap of resentment and ends up standing on a rock-solid foundation of true mutual support. And you know, there is another incredibly beautiful insight layered into this analysis. The 3-7 law isn't just a dating technique for two people. It actually has a generational impact. Past generations suffered and made mistakes through the contradictions of human relationships, right? And their sacrifices laid the groundwork for us to learn this wisdom. Today, when we use our 70% effort to fill each other's gaps and live with genuine happiness, that joyful energy actually heals the pain of the past. And even better, the healthy relationships we build today become a guiding light for future descendants, ensuring they don't repeat our failures. Our happiness is literally the key that connects the past and the future. As we wrap up today's explainer, take a quick moment to reflect on your own connections. Are you ready to finally stop that exhausting, impossible pursuit of 100% perfection? Are you ready to instead start beautifully painting the missing 30% alongside your partner? Look, we aren't perfect, and that is exactly why we need each other. Embrace this perfectly imperfect 3-7 law in your own life, because at the end of the day, the journey of filling in those empty spaces together is exactly what turns life into a masterpiece. So, what's your next move going to be?